The Bosphorus, a 20-mile natural canal linking the Black Sea and the Mediterranean, the boundary between Europe and Asia that the Turks have held for more than 500 years. By international agreement, they allow the merchant vessels of any nations to pass freely in either direction, while reserving strict military control of these waters. Within the Atlantic community, Turkey is the strong right anchor of a mutual defense organization that stretches from the Arctic Circle. Within the world, Turkey holds one of the great strategic crossing places of history, able to control access to Asia and Russia, and within close reach of the oil-rich Middle Eastern countries, the Suez Canal, and Africa. Istanbul, standing across the southern end of the Bosphorus, is no longer Turkey's capital, but it remains her greatest city and biggest seaport. Constantinople, this ancient capital of the Byzantine Empire, became capital of the Ottoman Empire in the year 1453 under the new name of Istanbul. Saint Sophia, which was a Byzantine temple for about 900 years and a mosque for about 500 years, was transformed by Ataturk into a Byzantine museum in 1934. To the name of Constantinople was added the wealth and prestige of Istanbul, new capital of the Ottoman Empire. The wealth came from 3 continents. The prestige included dominion over Europe as far as the Danube, all of North Africa, and the entire Middle East. The unique fighting machine that secured this empire is commemorated in national military museums and by groups of bandsmen and troops that revive the marches of the once dreaded Janissaries. Turkish cavalry were the shock troops of the empire for hundreds of years. And in today's republic, cavalry still have a part to play in almost a fifth of this great land, the northeast, where broken mountain country makes movement difficult. these new-style horse divisions are unlike traditional cavalry. Pack horses enter the charge with modern automatic weapons and supporting arms that enable these troops to concentrate heavy firepower in country difficult for infantry and impassable to tanks. But most of Turkey's 28 active divisions are mechanized troops, tank brigades, and standard infantry forces. But this army is more than a military machine. Turkey is still conducting a great economic revolution, and none of the 500,000 men under arms return to civilian life without having learnt new skills of service and of value to the future of their country. The land that these men are developing is the third largest in NATO, half as big again as France and larger than the state of Texas. As much of the country is natural grazing that can be intensively cultivated, the biggest post-war change has been in agriculture. With a population of 22 million and raw acres to spare, government surveyors are constantly mapping out new farms for whoever wishes to work them. With the grant of land comes equipment, and to hasten the work, the government maintains farm machinery centers. Where there was a tractor at war's end, there are now 40. In 1947, not a pound of Turkey's wheat left the country. 6 years later, with a record harvest of 14 million tons, Turkey became the world's fourth wheat exporter. In 6 years, wheat production overtook storage facilities so fast that grain was stacked in the open while an emergency program went ahead to build a chain of giant silos. Of every 5 Turks, 4 are small farmers, and they were the first to benefit by this program. The marked increase in their income created a wide market for consumer goods. Few countries in the world have raised living standards so fast in so short a time. This post-war economic revolution is a continuation of the sweeping change initiated by the late Kemal Atatürk, father of all the Turks, as he was named in love and honor by his people. In the capital of Ankara is his mausoleum, dominating the city that is itself his finest memorial. The ancient Ankara that Ataturk found in 1920 was a half-forgotten mountaintop village. Beside it, in almost the exact center of Turkey, he founded one of the great cities of the world. Freed from the veil and an inferior social status, Turkish women were able to establish themselves on equal terms in all professions. In medicine, and especially in teaching, they have played an indispensable part in wiping out the legacy of sickness and illiteracy of old Turkey. When Ataturk decided to industrialize, he set up banks to do the job, to finance and to direct. In 1950 came a change of policy. Banks began to make loans to new private enterprises that have established a range of consumer industries and aided a threefold increase in textile production. Expansion of heavy industry continues under the direction of the banks. A tenfold increase in cement production is underway, and steel capacity has doubled. In mining, coal production is up by 50%. Twice as much copper is being extracted, and 12 times as much manganese as in 1948. Very soon, this development had outstripped available port facilities, so new harbor construction began. Adequate new installations now load the mineral wealth easily and quickly. Most valuable of these new exports is chrome, of which Turkey is the biggest producer in the free world. The end in this chain of continuing development has been the establishment of a modern Turkish merchant navy handling the trade of the country. In the port of Izmir, the Star and Crescent keeps unexpected company. It flies among the flags of NATO Atlantic Alliance to mark the Southeast Sector's regional defense headquarters. Here, the officers of 3 countries, Greece, Turkey, and America, coordinate land, sea, and air defenses as part of the Grand Atlantic Alliance. To this security, the Turks contribute half their yearly budget and unity of national policy. Strengthening the security of Greeks and Turks in this area is their tripartite pact with the Yugoslavs, a forging of defense bonds between three countries. The Turkish government that negotiated this agreement was elected in one of the most liberal elections of modern times. At the 1950 and 1954 elections, the political party that had held power in Turkey for almost 30 years was defeated at the polls by an overwhelming majority. Dedicated to a system of free multi-party democracy are the Turkish people, who have established the economic and military strength of their nation. Each dawn finds Turkey at the start of another day of change. In Istanbul, the day begins when the ocean-going ships of a dozen nations slip in and out of the Golden Horn before the great bridges linking the quarters of the city swing back into place for the day. In less than 40 years of social and economic evolution, Turkey has reduced the gap between her and other Western nations. In the second half of the 20th century, she is ready to move forward and gather the material of a gigantic communal endeavor founded on the national unity and will of her people.